Hi LHMS. Today our review is over multiplying fractions. Once again, we are going to be looking at three different possible strategies to multiply these fractions. We're going to use a picture, we're going to use an area model, and finally we will once again look at the algorithm. And remember that word algorithm, it just means that we're using the standard way of using the numbers to find the answer. Our problem today is you have 3/4 of a pizza left. If you give 1/3 of what is left to your brother, how much of the whole pizza will your brother get? So with our problem today, we are trying to figure out how much of the original whole pizza is your brother going to get. Now, we started with 1/3 of the pizza that you are going to give to your brother. And that 1/3 is of the original 3/4 that was left. So we can write this 1/3 of 3/4, or we can also write it 1/3 times 3/4. When you see the word of, it means that you're going to multiply. Now we want to figure out what our starting amount for our pizza was for our multiplication problem. Well, there are 3/4 that we are trying to give the 1/3 out of. So 3/4 is our starting amount. Now I want to draw a picture of this amount. Once again, because I'm talking about pizzas, I am going to use a circle. I'm going to take that circle and I'm going to break it up into fourths. I see up here that fourths is my denominator, so that tells me how many pieces my whole should be broken up into. Of those fourths, I have 3 that are left. So here's 1, 2, 3 of the 4 original pieces left. This orange area that we just colored in, our 3/4, is what we are trying to take 1/3 of. That 1/3 of this 3/4 is what we're giving to our brother. So for right now, we're going to pretend that this part here never existed. I'm going to kind of erase it out. Okay, and so we are only looking at the 3/4. Well, we're only looking at the 3 pieces. So what is 1/3 of these 3 pieces? Well, I'm going to have 1/3 right here. There's 1. Here's a second third. And here's a third third. So there's my thirds, and if I'm going to give my brother 1/3, this is the amount that he's going to be receiving of the pizza. For our answer, now we have to go back and remember that this piece originally existed because we want to know how much of the original or the whole pizza did your brother get. So we know he got this third up here of what was left of the whole pizza. Remember, we divided it into fourths. So he got 1/4 of the pizza, of the whole pizza. Now, for our answer, we can put 1/3 of the 3/4 is 1/4 of the whole. Otherwise, 1/3 times 3/4 equals 1/4.
With that same number sentence of 1/3 of 3/4, I'm going to use what we call the area model to solve. So first I'm going to convert that number sentence into an expression. When I see of, that's really telling me I can multiply in place of that. So I'll have 1/3 of 3/4 is telling me I need to take 1/3 and multiply that with 3/4. So first, to use our area model, we need to draw a square. And we'll try and make it as precise as we can. And I'm going to look at the 3/4 first. Because really my sentence is telling me I only want 1/3 of the 3/4. So that square, I'm going to break that into 4 equal pieces because my denominator is 4. And it's very important when we use the area model that we draw the lines in the same direction. So I will break that into 4 vertical strips. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I want to represent 3/4 on that square, so I'm going to shade in 3 strips. 1, 2, 3, which equals my 3/4. Next, I'm going to multiply using the area model, but we're going to multiply using horizontal strips. So that's why it's super important we have our vertical and our horizontal, and we're going in the same direction when we represent the 3/4 and the 1/3. So I'm going to change colors. And to represent the 1/3, we're going to use that same square, but instead of 4 horizontal strips, we'll use 3 because our denominator is 3. And so I know that I want to have this represented as 3 equal pieces. So 1, 2, and then 3. And we want to make them as precise as possible. So we should have 3 equal strips. And I'm going to shade in 1/3 of the horizontal strips. There we go. And that will represent my 1/3. Notice there is an overlap with the 2 colors. That overlap is our solution. So I'm going to change colors, and we have a square here and here that represents our overlap of the light blue and the dark blue. To find our solution, we're going to count the total amount of squares in our larger square. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That tells me there are 12 pieces in our total unit. 3 of those pieces were shaded in both colors, the dark blue and the light blue. So my solution of 1/3 of 3/4 is 3/12. And of course we need to reduce that fraction. So 3/12 reduces to 1/4 because both 3 and 12 are divisible by 3.
We are going to use the same problem. We are trying to find 1/3 of 3/4, which is the same thing as saying 1/3 times 3/4. In multiplication, you do not have to have a common denominator. So one way we could do this problem is we can just multiply our numerator straight across. So 1 times 3 is 3. And then multiply our denominator straight across. 3 times 4 is 12. This is not our final answer yet because we still need to reduce or simplify. 3/12 reduces down to 1/4 because both 3 and 12 are both divisible by 3. So 3 divided by 3 gets us to 1, and 12 divided by 3 gets us to 4. Let's look at another way that we can also get to 1/4. So if I take 1/3 times 3/4, I'm going to look diagonally and see if there is a number that goes into both of those numbers. So I look at the 3 and the 3 and think to myself, is there a number that goes into 3 and 3? When they are the same number, they cancel each other out and become 1s because 3 can go into 3 one time, and on the top 3 can also go into 3 one time. This makes our multiplication really easy because we just take our 1 times 1, which is 1, and then our 1 times 4, which is 4. Let's try it on a different problem really quick so we can see that the numbers don't have to be exactly the same to be able to cross cancel. If I had 3/4 times 2/5, I'm going to look diagonally and see if there is a number that can go into both of them. First, if I look at the 3 and the 5, there is not a number that can go into 3 and 5 evenly. So I'm going to look the other direction. I'm looking at my 2 and my 4. There is a number that can go into 2 and 4 evenly, and that would be 2. 2 goes into 2 one time, and then 2 can go into 4 2 times. So this is a 1 over here. So I can take my 3 times 1. So I have my 3 times 1, which is 3, and my 2 times 5, which is 10.
All right, LHMS, thank you for watching our video on multiplying fractions. I hope this was a good review for you of the several different ways that we can use to help us multiply. Remember, you can always use the picture. The area model is really good also. The thing that you have to remember with the area model is that you need to make sure and have even spaces. And finally, you can use the algorithm again, and that cross-canceling comes in really handy when you are going to be simplifying your fraction later anyway. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.